Hello everybody, this is Adam from Expat Guides. I hope you're doing well. Now one of the nice things and one of the draws of the baseball card hobby is just the pure nostalgia when you go back and look at old baseball cards. And for kids of the 1970s and 1980s like me, it doesn't get much more nostalgic than seeing cards of the Montreal Expos, who of course became the Washington Nationals several years ago now. Excuse me. So, when I was going through a collection that I bought a few years ago and came across this baggie full of Montreal Expos cards, I thought it might be fun to walk through at least a few of them here, share them with YouTube. So we'll do a few here tonight, and then if we like what we see, maybe we'll do more later on. I have a decent stack of them. I don't want to spend all night on them. We'll just go through and see what my buddy had, the buddy that I bought these cards from a few years back. So here we have a 1982 Fleer Chris Spire. He had already played for the Giants for a lot of years, and then the Expos. 82 Fleer was probably a little better in quality than the 81 Fleer, pretty close. Definitely better than 81 Donruss. Very basic design, hardly anything to the design elements on the front. And the card backs were kind of this powder blue with a yellow stats box. Fairly easy to read. Do have the nice Expos logo there in the upper right. We have Warren Cromartie here, who was with the Expos on this 1982 Topps card. This is a design that I wasn't all that crazy about when it came out, but I've kind of grown to like it, and I like the photography. It's fairly crisp for the era, especially here with Cromartie in sunshine with his red, white, and blue Expos hat and uniform on, and a facsimile autograph. And the backs were all green. I love green, so I'm not too put off by that. Well, all green except for the blue type. And we have some kind of trivia pieces here. So we have Tim Blackwell gunned down 41% of would-be base stealers in 1980. Okay, they skipped over 81 probably because it was the strike shortened season. And then we have Ron LaFleur is the only player in baseball history to win stolen base titles in both the NL and the AL. Not sure if that's still true or not. Might have to look that up. And Warren himself had a 19-game hitting streak in 1979. Okay, Bill Lee, the spaceman, kind of a out there character, relief pitcher. You can see he had pitched for several years, starting with the 69 Red Sox and going all the way through 81 with the Expos. And he wasn't always a relief pitcher. You can see he had lots of complete games in the mid-70s with the Sox. 1982 Fleer Larry Parrish card. Parrish was, in my mind, kind of an underrated player during this period and a little bit later. Had 30 home runs with 82 RBI in 79 for the Expos, and he also hit 307 that year. Those are pretty hefty numbers for a third baseman, especially in 1979. Charlie Lee, who was a really good pitcher in the early to mid 80s. Here, let's see, he was 24 years old or so in the picture, and he had already had a couple of years under his belt. It's a nice semi-action card there, sideline action maybe. Elias Sosa, another pitcher, big kind of thick glasses, types of glasses you'd see through the 80s. I think I had some of those at some point. And he had been around for a while too, starting in 72 with the Giants. So he was about a 10-year veteran at this point. A 1980 Topps card of Stan Bonson with the Expos. So he had started way back in 66 with the Yankees. Was a 21-game winner in 72 for the White Sox. And so we have a cartoon here. Stan was named American League's Rookie of the Year for the Yankees in '68. So 66 was just a cup of coffee. 68 went 17-12 with a 2.06 ERA. So that's pretty amazing, although 68 was the year of the pitcher. Mike Phillips, an infielder for the Expos, on his 82 Topps card. Again, he had a long track record to this point, and he led the Pioneer League shortstops in fielding and way back in 1969. It was interesting when Topps would call out a highlight from 10, 12 years earlier. Jeff Reardon, who was one of the big-time closers in the 80s and had one of the big-time beards of the 80s, like Grizzly Adams. So at this point, he had just recorded his first big save season with 26 and also had a 2.06. Was it 2.06 ERA? Yep. And had gone 7-4 for the 82 Expos. So a nice 1983 Topps card. There's a 1983 Topps card of Warren Cromartie. A good follow through there in his powder blue Expos uniform. So he'd been around for 9 years at this point. It's a solid hitter. Jerry Manuel, looking very young and curly-haired here. So this is, he became a major league manager eventually. But here he is as a second baseman with the Expos on his 1982 Fleer card. Steve Rogers was one of the top starting pitchers, I would say, in the early to mid 80s in the National League, outside of the big names like Steve Carlton. You can see he won consistently 15, 17, 16 games. So he won a lot of games for the Expos. This is the 82 Topps card. There's an 82 Topps card of Woody Fryman, who was around for a long time. You can see he started back in '66 with the Pirates, and at this point had 132 victories. Scott Sanderson, an 81 Topps card with the Expos. I think this is the first 81 Topps we've seen tonight. He's been around just a few years. You can see the pink and red motif on the back of the 81s and the nice red, white, and blue Expos cap there on the front. So this was the first year that Topps was in competition directly with Fleer and Donruss. I think they probably won this battle, although the 81 Topps is not the greatest set that they ever put out, in my opinion. So here's Tony Bernazard with the Expos. Lots of red, white, and blue again. He was a second baseman on his 81 Topps card. And just been around a couple of years. He went 6 for 6 on some night here in April of '78 when he was in the American Association with Denver. Here's Spaceman again, Bill Lee, on his 1981 Topps card. He can't believe how boring you are. See that look? See his statistics again. Here's Dan Norman on a 1983 Topps card. He's a guy that seemed to never smile on his cards. I did a post on waxpackgods.com, I don't know, last year, the year before, about how he didn't smile once, and he did eventually smile on at least one card. So check that out if you want to see where he was smiling. And here's Ellis Valentine on a 1980 Topps card, and he's definitely smiling, even though he's kind of hatless, and you could figure he might be with in a minor league outfit or something. It's hard to tell exactly which uniform he's in. He's got kind of yellow shirt poking up there. He looks happy to be playing baseball on this particular day. You can see his cartoon. Ellis saw action in the 1977 All-Star Game at Yankee Stadium. So then we get a Charlie Lee in 1983. I think we'll pick that one up next time if we do another round of these Expos cards. So anyway, those are some vintage 1980s Montreal Expos baseball cards to hopefully stoke your nostalgia nerve a little bit. So I appreciate your watching. You can find us at waxpackgods.com or on Twitter at WaxPackGods. Thanks a lot.